For more than a quarter century, confronting the global HIV epidemic has been a test of scientific focus and commitment for Merck MSD.
HIV continues to be a major public health threat both in the developed as well as in the developing world. There are significant challenges, both scientific challenges as well as human health challenges. We all remain committed to trying to address these issues.
Merck has been involved in HIV for over 25 years. And really, HIV has been one of the most important areas of investment and research for Merck. Merck's strategy has two pillars in HIV: research and access.
The scientists at Merck have made numerous contributions to the field of HIV.
So around 1984, 1985, Merck began work to try to make a vaccine that could prevent HIV infections.
In 2007, with an investigational vaccine in human clinical trials, Merck MSD and the HIV community were dealt a setback when the vaccine data showed a lack of efficacy.
It was a great disappointment, certainly to Merck, to the NIH, I think to the vaccine community at large for HIV. But I think there were many advances that Merck contributed to the field. We continue to test antibody approaches, and that is our major focus today.
Essentially, when Merck scientists and others began to understand the life cycle of the virus, they worked on specific targets looking at important enzymes that really facilitated HIV replication. So early on, they worked on reverse transcriptase, and then after that worked on protease, and more recently identifying and characterizing HIV integrase.
At Merck in the research lab, we still have a very large commitment to HIV. There will be an ongoing effort to both develop new agents to treat HIV as well as ongoing research into different approaches towards eradication.
It is good to develop these medicines, but if you can't make sure that people who need them have access to them, then you haven't done your job, at least not fully.
In 2001, Merck instituted a differential pricing policy for its antiretrovirals, which provided access pricing or significantly reduced prices for our medicines in lowest income and middle income countries. And we've also granted a number of voluntary licenses to generic manufacturers for the production of our products with the intention of trying to expand access. So we've done that by engaging in collaborations with other stakeholders to address some of the underlying challenges that a lot of communities dealing with HIV face. We've had an opportunity to work with non-governmental organizations, governments of endemic countries, academic institutions, other private sector companies, and communities themselves. In July of 2000, Merck joined with the government of Botswana and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to help Botswana in its national response to the HIV epidemic.
In addition to lending financial and logistical support to this public-private partnership called the African Comprehensive HIV/AIDS Partnerships, or ACHAP, MSD has supported treatment scale-up in Botswana by donating its HIV medications. But medicines are only part of the solution.
You need not only to have the medicines available, you have to do HIV testing, you have to do education, especially with young people and the generation coming up, and you have to be in the places where the people are. So there are many components that go together to make a successful program.
And there have been some notable successes since the partnership began over 12 years ago.
10 years ago, only about 5% of people who needed HIV/AIDS drugs actually received treatment. Now it's up to about 90%, the highest coverage rates in Africa.
I started testing on 2003. I found that I'm positive. I was given a counseling that my CD4 cell, if they are below 200, then I have to start treatment. Then by 2007, I went back to the hospital again. So I found that the CD4 cell is below 200. So I started the treatment, and I'm very happy about the treatment. Yeah.
ACHAP has served as a model, but I think we have to be careful to recognize that each situation in each country is very different. Similar to our work in Botswana, Merck is also working with the government of China to address HIV in that country. The work in China, which is called the Msd China HIV/AIDS Partnership, or CMAP, has also taken this very comprehensive approach.
We set up 34 consulting and testing stations for conducting examinations and hygiene during pregnancies. Before the life skills course began in schools, students had very little knowledge about the AIDS disease. We teach them how to prevent the AIDS and how they should pay attention to their behavior.
The Merck Company Foundation contributed $30 million US to this effort, and today, over 2 million people in China are benefiting from this collaboration with MSD.
Maintaining the sense of urgency around HIV is probably one of the most critical things that we need to do going forward. Because while we've made great progress, there are still communities and people that still do not have access.
Merck is strongly committed to HIV, and that continues. But the road is a long one. We've also had a number of failures if you think about vaccines. It is very, very difficult, and it takes a lot of commitment in human resources, commitment, a financial commitment, and it takes collaboration.
And I certainly would hope that any research group that thinks that they have a promising approach for HIV vaccines would look to collaborate with us and see if the kind of know-how that Merck has for making vaccines successfully can use some of that know-how to help turn some good ideas and good progress for HIV into an effective vaccine.
There's also a renewed energy, not just on the vaccine front, but on the thought that we could really go that next step. There's a number of things that Merck has done, recently in terms of our drug development and our collaborations. We seem to really be at the core of a growing excitement towards cure.
When I think about the issue of eradicating HIV in 2012, it's somewhat reminiscent to where we were in the early 90s in trying to find ways to treat HIV infection. There were, many good ideas. Some were successful, others were not. But it really took a concerted effort between the scientific community, between the pharmaceutical companies, between the activist community, regulatory authorities, all working together to tackle this enormous challenge. And I think that's where we are today.
And my hope is that in my lifetime, that HIV will be eradicated completely. And I hope that Merck will be part of the process.